Hello, everybody. My name is Erica Sears, and this is the Leon High School, New York, DC Spring Break 2023 trip interest meeting. If you guys will go ahead and scan that QR code and RSVP to the meeting if you have not already RSVP'd, that will give me your contact information and I'll be able to push any information out to you that way. So you can just scan that QR code, make sure that you send an RSVP in. The trip we're getting ready to talk about is to Washington, D.C. and New York City. It is Spring Break 2023, and it will be a 6-day trip with me, Erica Sears, your trip leader. In this presentation, we are going to cover information about me, tour details, who our travel partner is, education first, safety and support, what is included in the cost of the trip, and reserving your spot. I have been teaching since 2001. I've been at Leon High School for the last 10 years. I have 3 children in Leon County schools. 2 of them are sophomores at Leon High School, and one of them is an 8th grader at Cobb. My husband, Steve, is also a teacher at Cobb. He taught 8th grade American history for 7 years, and he was an administrator for a while, and now he's back at Cobb teaching agricultural education. We live on his family farm in Havana. We love to travel. It's one of our favorite things to do. We love adventuring. Even if the travel is local, we really enjoy it. And so what you'll see here are some pictures. There's a picture of my family and I knocking some stuff off our bucket list, going to Chichen Itza last summer. We went to Mexico. It was awesome. In the top right corner, you'll see a picture of me with a group of students when I traveled to Europe with Education First on a Leon High School Europe trip. I was a chaperone on that trip. So that's us outside the Louvre. We had a great time. And then the bottom is my 3 children when they were babies, littles, at one of our favorite places, the FDR Memorial, just off the National Mall in Washington, D.C. I'm super excited to travel with your students. I have been a United States history teacher for a while. I'm the social studies department chair. I've taught all social studies, all the core social studies classes. But now I teach, and I've really landed in American history over the last 7 years. And so taking kids that I teach American history to, or that I have the ability to teach American history to, or that I will be teaching American history to places like Washington, D.C. and New York is really an amazing opportunity. This is everything that we are going to see and do. You can see it's really, really full. Some of the stuff that I'm particularly excited about in Washington, D.C. is Mount Vernon. I love Mount Vernon. I'm a huge fan. I also love the National Mall. I love the way it's set up. It really makes me feel extremely patriotic and proud to go to the National Mall. Additionally, Arlington National Cemetery knocks me off my feet. There's a former Godby graduate. His name is Robert Wise, who's actually buried in Arlington National Cemetery. And it's always really nice to go and pay my respects to his service, to his sacrifice and his service. Additionally, New York City is about 15 minutes away from where I grew up. I grew up in New Jersey in a small bedroom community called Tenafly. And so I spent a lot of time in New York as a kid. I haven't been back in 15 years. It will be wonderful to go back. And I have not been back to Manhattan since September 11th. And so the 9/11 Memorial is a huge spot for me. It's long overdue that I go and visit. And honestly, I think 9/11 was our generation's Pearl Harbor, and every American we need to go see it. We need to go see the 9/11 Memorial. So it's huge. It's going to be a big deal. Additionally, I'm very excited to take your kids to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. As a 3rd generation Italian immigrant, in my family's immigration story was a very big piece of the fabric of who we were. So learning immigration history was always a really easy thing for me to do because my family was kind of part of that immigration history. Moving to the South, it's not that there are not immigrants here, but the immigration history isn't as woven into the fabric of the culture and society like it is in New York. Ellis Island's there. You go when you're in 5th grade, you go on a field trip and you look up your family's last name and see if they came through Ellis Island. And so I would love to give your kids that experience as well. So here's some of the other things, and just kind of, what are you the most excited about your kids seeing? Or what is your student the most excited to see? Our travel window is March 12th, 2023 to March 21st, 2023. It is a 6-day trip. That is not 6 days, but within there that we will travel for our 6 days. This window means there will be no missed school. So your child is going to be able to go, and I know that's a huge issue for high achieving students at Leon High School. Missing school is very stressful. We are not missing school for this field trip. We are going to go on spring break. We are going to see all the things, and we are going to come back ready to review for our AP exams and EOCs, having seen the stuff that we just learned about, which I'm pretty excited about, y'all. Why do I use EF? I use them because I have been on 2 tours with them, and they give us excellent service. There's a tour director with me, the trip leader, 24/7, who is extremely familiar with the city, has contacts all over, has EF's resources, the breadth of EF's resources, which is extensive, is willing to use those resources to help us achieve our goals and have a fun and safe trip. I have seen these tour directors move mountains to help groups of students make connections, to haggle with airlines when they're trying to mess us up, to keep us all together on the subway, to keep us all together on the bus, to keep us all together on tour, to make sure that kids are always supervised, always being safe. So they're really an excellent, excellent company. They are an extremely safe company. We will have a 24/7 tour director. We will also have 24-hour emergency support. We will have professional overnight security, which is key. So when we say lights out, and lights out is going to depend on the itinerary for the next day, but maybe we're going to say lights out at 11, right? So the chaperones will do the checks, make sure everybody's in their rooms, make sure the lights are out, and then security will take over to make sure that kids are staying safe, that they're making good choices, that they're not leaving their hotel rooms. And that everything is under control. And so that 24-hour that professional overnight security is a really, really big bonus on this trip, especially when you're going to such large cities like Washington, D.C. and New York. There are required background checks for all adult travelers. And all of our chaperones are Leon County Schools employees. They're all teachers. They're all extremely knowledgeable about these cities. They know your kids. They're professionals that I trust implicitly. So I think it's going to be awesome. So we get traveler support. There is an opportunity for scholarships, for needs-based scholarships. Every year, EF gives out $50,000 in needs-based scholarships. If you need help applying for one of those scholarships, I'm more than happy to help you. Cost should not be a barrier to any child going on this trip. I believe that so deeply, and EF is aligns with that philosophy with these needs-based scholarships. I can write a letter of recommendation for your student. We can do whatever we need to do to make sure that cost is not an object for your child. Additionally, there is a personalized travel page, which as a mom of teenagers, I love because I'm a huge believer in giving experiences, not things. Especially because when you give kids things, then they just take up space in my house. When you give them experiences, those memories, the things that they learn that last for their whole life. And so I love this personalized travel page because the kids have a personalized link to their EF account. And when grandparents ask, what can I get them for this milestone? What can I get them to reward them for this report card? They cleaned my gutters. How can I repay them? You can give them this giving page link and they can just contribute directly to the child's trip account so that it's paying off the cost of the trip. So it's less money that you have to pay. And the kids can actually take some ownership in this trip experience, which is developmentally, that's all you can ask for as a parent, is to start really teaching kids some responsibility for how do you budget for travel and how do you contribute to paying for it and how do you make these goals happen. Sometimes you have to work for it, and this is an excellent way to do that. So the giving page is awesome. The other thing about the giving page that I love is that EF isn't charging interest. They aren't charging fees. 100% of what goes through the giving page goes to pay for the trip. So grandma gives you $50 for your birthday, $50 goes towards the cost of the trip. So these are the different protection plans. You're welcome to go on the website and poke around and decide. The travel protection plan is included. That includes rolling into your payment plan, flight delay coverage, tour interruption coverage, baggage and property coverage, the maximum refund available, and if you cancel for any covered reason up to the day of departure. If you think you might want to cancel for a non-covered reason and still get your money back, then you might want to consider the Travel Protection Plan Plus, which is an additional $180. You're welcome to go on the website and read about those on your own. These are all of the things that are included in the cost of the tour. Round trip transportation, which includes airfare out of Tallahassee. So we are going to be flying from Tallahassee to Washington, D.C. And then once we get to Washington, D.C., we're going to meet our bus, put our stuff on the bus, and hit the ground running, doing activities in Washington, D.C. It is a quick flight, right? It's 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and we're going to hit the ground running. And so that's really a lot of the cost. The extra cost is the traveling from Tallahassee to DC. Once we're done in DC, we will board a bus, and that bus will drive us to New York, which is about a 4-hour drive. We will spend a few days in New York, then we will board a plane in New York City, and we will fly home to Tallahassee, where you will pick your kids up from the Tallahassee airport. Super, super easy. And again, one of the things I really like to point out is the middle school trips are less expensive because they take a bus. It's between 10 and 15 hours that the kids spend on a bus on the way up and then on the way back. You're losing a lot of time. And of course, some of that is overnight, but it's not the most pleasant experience. Of course, it's bonding for the kids, and but it's developmentally appropriate for us to now start working with our older teenagers on how to fly. This is how we're going to fly, right? And some of these kids have never been on a plane before. So this is how you do it. This is how you go through TSA. This is how you pack to fly places. And all of a sudden, your kids fly, we rip that Band-Aid off, we train them how to do it, and now the world's their oyster. Right? I mean, that's it. You can travel. You know how to do this. Once you can get on a plane, once you can pack your suitcase, once you can get through TSA, you have overcome so many obstacles, right? It is developmentally appropriate to start teaching 16, 17, 18-year-old kids how to fly. And that's what we're going to do. So flying is awesome. It's going to be great. We also get our full-time tour director. We get on-tour transportation. So all of the transportation that your child is going to need, all of it. Transportation in New York City and DC, guys, this is a big deal. All of the transportation, anywhere they need to go, is going to be paid for in the cost. When you pay, that's it. They don't need to pay for any other form of transportation. They're going to have safe, quality hotel rooms at good hotels. They will have all of their guided tours and activities included in the cost of the trip. Tickets to the Met, tickets to any of the things that we decide we're going to do, tickets to Top of the Rock, tickets to the 9/11 Memorial, tickets to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, tickets to any of the things that we do in DC. If we go to the Spy Museum, those tickets will be included. If we go see Ford's Theater, tickets will be included. So all of that stuff is going to be included in the cost. Additionally, it includes all the tour guides that we have. So if we do a walking tour of the National Mall, where somebody's going to explain to us the significance of all of the memorials and the layout of all of the memorials, that is paid for, all of it. And again, remember, the name of this company is Education First. I have been on 2 tours with Education First in Europe. They really teach the kids. Like, your kids are going to learn history, they're going to learn art, they're going to learn culture when they're in these places. They put that education first is exactly what they mean. It also includes 2 meals a day, includes breakfast and dinner. Your child will have to provide their own lunch, which we can do relatively inexpensively. It also provides professional overnight security. Industry leading student to chaperone. It's going to be 1 chaperone for every 10 students. There is also a personal learning guide, 24-hour emergency assistance, which is huge. Illness and accident coverage, also huge. A traveler support team. It includes all tips and gratuities, and our tour director takes care of all that, which is also amazing. And it includes the giving page and the link to the giving page. So this breaks down to be $136 in bi-weekly payments, $271, 9 payments of $271 a month, for a total cost of $2,534. Additionally, we have done, we are sparking so much interest and buzz at Leon with social media posts and through the listserv and through people really wanting to participate in this trip, that they've offered us an early enrollment bonus. So you could get $50 off the cost of the trip by enrolling before May 20th. And that would break down to $133 for 18 biweekly payments, $266 for a month for 9 months, for a total cost of $2,484. This is the link that you would use. You can also take your phone out and scan this QR code. I'll also post the link on my social media. so that you can use this link to enroll in the trip if you decide that this is what you want to do with your spring break 2023. We have 25 spots available until May 20th. And then we'll look at a rolling basis of opening out more spots and stuff, but they won't have that $50 off signing or early enrollment bonus. Thank you for joining me on this this wonderful Tuesday night. And I certainly hope that you and your student decide that this is the right fit for them, that this will be a great trip, and that they want to come travel with me to Washington, D.C. and New York for spring break of 2023. Thank you.